Quest Mage, whenever I looked over my shoulder, sometimes another feed comes onto our production screens. Odemian, a lot of times it's just barely getting over the edge.
Yeah, and these players actually played earlier in the tournament, and RDU was quite upset because he said he played this matchup, and he was able to Psychic Scream at least 7 cards back in Odemian's deck, and he still just got the combo off, despite not drawing through everything.
Oh, man. That has to be frustrating. But, there's so much card draw and so much stall in the Quest Mage deck that sometimes, unless you're able to generate the damage in the burst, you can't really get there anyways. And if you're the Highlander Priest, because you're so cycle heavy, you're actually less minion pressure oriented. Novice Engineer is not going to be doing anything really. It's just going to help you get to your Raza and Anduin.
Yeah. You really need the cards like on curve to start pinging them down, because if you give the Quest Mage time, they just will find those pieces.
Okay. Alkanai Soul Priest can help, though, right? Like, helping, if I'm the Priest, am I, looking to play Tempo very often against the Quest Mage, or am I trying to just find Raza and Anduin? Is that more important?
I think you will play your more powerful cards first rather than the draw, just because if you do get some early damage, it just takes you less time to kill them once you assemble the Raza and the Anduin. So I don't blame him for not playing the draw card first.
Yeah. Man, he met with the Doomsayer wall. I like throwing in the Thanos in. It's harder to get the draw versus the Novice Engineer.
And RDU doesn't really have any tech cards in his Priest to help him in this matchup, compared to, say, WTY Bill's Priest deck, which he could Dragon it Operative, maybe even an Ice Block.
And also his other decks, too, have Dirty Rats to help ruin some of this stuff. You can pull out the Sorcerer's Apprentice, or you can even pull out the Antonidas in your very fortunate situations. Shut down their infinite damage combo completely.
But yeah, I don't think RDU has any other win conditions other than just popping his opponent. There's no way you could really stop the combo with his Priest list.
Odemian also lost 2 series really early on, and it almost looked like he was just going to kind of get wrecked in the tournament, and then rattled off 6 wins in a row, practically. I think he lost only 1 time there on his way to qualifying for the top 4. Very impressive run. Shadow Reaper Anduin comes to the hand for RDU, but I think the problem at hand is I don't think he can even get to the rest of the 28 damage very easily, and Mage is kind of ahead on board, sort of.
Yeah, it's really rare when the Quest Mage actually has a bigger board presence than the deck they're playing against. But as you just said, Odemian, that's the beauty of Swiss. You start off 0-2 and you just still have a really good chance as long as your decks can perform.
Right.
And he was able to just run it back, 1-5 in a row, and squeaked in with his winning in.
Yeah, most tournaments he'd be out. And people would be like, you just got unlucky. And be like, yeah, you're right. Odemian opting to shut down any card draw and play Doomsayer, feeling like his opponent won't be able to answer it easily. Shadow of Pain and Silence exists in RDU's hand. And now he actually can get some minion presence. Hey, Kazakus also can generate a lot of pressure as well by summoning back minions, summoning 5/5, or even just dealing damage straight up.
Yeah, I think the card he's looking for the most is just draw 2, because you really want to find that Raza. Even if you get like a really good tempo card, whether Rezzing Minion or making a 5/5, just the Quest Mage has so many freezes that those don't always connect.
Maybe why not both? He definitely got the draw card. I couldn't see the second option. It was picked so fast. I wonder if I don't know actually if it was deal damage to everything.
I definitely like using the Pain here just because it leaves you with another 0 mana card, which is easier to ping when you have the Anduin equipped, so be surprised. True. But besides that, he just wants to Pain the 2-1 to create some hand size.
Okay, that makes sense too. Second Doomsayer has been used. Shadow or Pain just gets out of the hand so we can draw more cards. It looks like Kazakus Potion said give everything +4 health.
So we see that Odemian already found the Archmage Antonidas, which sometimes is the card that you get in trouble that he's hiding at the bottom of the deck, but that shouldn't be too big of a problem this game. And also finding another Molten Reflection is going to make completing that combo even easier.
I've never picked Shifting Scroll out of Unstable Portal. Does that does that carry over?
Yeah,
Following
every
turns?
single spell that
Okay.
you see gets reduced by 2.
Interesting.
So RDU is still just going to try and figure out how can he draw as much as possible without overdrawing, because he's just has just a certain amount of time.
Well, he wants to play Shadow Reaper into it next turn. But even if he drew Raza, he wouldn't be able to play it till 2 turns later.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of an awkward spot. I think he'll go for the Kazakus potion here, but maybe he thinks sticking a Lyra could be potentially valuable. Not quite convinced about that one, but he's going for it.
I don't know what Lyra cards can really help you win this matchup specifically. Maybe Thought Steal or Devour Mind, things of that kind.
Stealing some mage cards can get you a nice block.
Oh, Psychic
Scream's huge.
I mean, you have to even think about whether or not you want to even kill those tokens at that point.
So earlier, RDU complained that he Psychic Scream when he found the combo anyway, but Psychic Scream definitely helps you slow down the game. It's weird because a lot of times you just use it strictly for the board clear function.
Right.
But in this matchup, maybe even want to get more minions on the board before you Psychic Scream it into his deck.
That's kind of what I was thinking with the not killing the mirror image stuff. Because I think you anticipate your opponent wanting to control the state of the board very often. I don't blame him, because if his opponent doesn't freeze the board, then he gets 6 damage or more if Lyra's 6 on the board.
Yeah. So now the game becomes pretty interesting for him. Does he think shuffling in 3 minions is enough, or does he tend to go for more? One of the advantages of doing it now is that you do have another Psychic Scream left in your deck, but you have to play the Anduin at some point. This could be just the turn to do it, because you can weave in those 2 mana pings. It doesn't always have to be 0 mana to start shooting your opponent down. So I sort of like the Anduin here.
I think so too. I think ultimately you have to find a way to win. And Psychic Scream is delayed by 1 turn, which shouldn't be the reason why Mage gets the combo. And you can still shuffle in minions the following turn as well.
Another Kabbalist Tome.
Jeez. I mean, he got 1 Kabbalist Tome off of one of the Babbling books too, so he's way covered by the quest conditions at this point.
Yeah, now it's just about drawing the rest of your deck and not overdrawing.
Right, he's at 8 right now, so you'll go full, and then you can just play Ice Barrier, and he should be good.
Yeah, and if he finds a Simulacrum or another Molten Reflection, then he just needs 1 Sorcerer Apprentice to be able to kill his opponent.
Right. I mean, he can find that Simulacrum.
If he played the Ice Barrier, he would actually got Time Warp and he could have overdrawn, right?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he would have actually been at 10 cards.
Yeah, so that was definitely heads up for him to not use the Kabbalist Tome, because if he didn't get a 0 mana spell, he just wouldn't have been able to not overdraw that turn.
True that.
He's definitely shown that he's played this deck before.
RDU can now shuffle 4 minions into the with the Psychic Scream with the Pyromancer pickup.
I like it. I think you're not really going to be using these minions to connect too much damage. So just shuffling as much as possible, reducing the chance for him to find those Sorcerer Apprentices, definitely the right move here.
So counterintuitive, but that's what we like to see.
Oh,
he's so close.
He just needs, second Sorcerer Apprentice. He has a Molten Reflection in his deck. He got one of these off the Kabbalist Tome. And also a lot of players run 1 Simulacrum, so that's another card that could do it for him. But
you gotta just dump some of his, some of his hand. Kabbalist Tome, discovering other Kabbalist Tome.
It's infinite.
Yeah. Is there hope for RDU?
Well, he doesn't have the Razi yet, so I don't think it can pop him for another, 2, maybe 3 turns. Oh, okay, so he found the Raza, so maybe he could pop him in 2 turns. But Odemian just has 2 ice blocks, so he has so much time to find just that last piece of the combo. And also you always have to pay attention to lethals with just like the Apprentice and just shooting a couple fireballs. Sometimes you don't always need that infinite fireball combo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can get 3 fireballs with 3 apprentices. It's 18 plus the 9 damage is 27.
Yeah.
That's pretty close already.
And especially you have 2 Kabbalist Tomes if you get like any burn.
He has so much stall as well. RDU's going to have to generate all this damage through burst. He does have a lot of stuff to do it, though. He's got Holy Fire and Mind Blast.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate for RDU that it's just going to be 2 turns before he's able to pop his opponent. And Molten Reflection, that's just it.
Well, can you get it all off in the same turn? Because I know Molten Reflection becomes cheaper, but will you be able to play Time Warp by then?
That's a good point.
2, and then 5, and then 7, and then... Oh, yeah, actually, you're right. You should be good.
Okay.
You should be able to cover it up.
I was pretty sure you could, but
Yeah,
I wasn't confident enough to just be like, no, you
Yeah,
can't.
you just want to count. You want to count for sure.
Because that would feel pretty silly if you go off with the apprentices. It's just, oh, I can't cast Time Warp.
I have done something like that too. Like one time I cast Simulacrum before Sorcerer's Apprentice, and I just didn't have enough mana to cast Time Warp. It was it costed 1. Now I already used 10 mana crystals.
Yeah.
But yeah, should be able to get there. And the pain train begins.
Does RDU let it happen to him? That's the big question.
Well, he has to show the Antonitis, but once he shows the Antonitis and a spell, there's no reason to play it out.
Yeah. And Odemian picking up that quick win with the Quest Mage.
Quest Mage.
And this was definitely an important match because RDU's other 2 decks are just aggro.
Yeah. He needed this Quest Mage win to hit the Priest. I mean, ideally, I think, based off the way his lineup is built, he beat Priest several times. We'll see what else he's got in store as somewhere in the world in Southern California, Disguised Toast is nodding his head in approval.
Yeah, he definitely loves the Quest Mage more than most.
Yeah. He really does.
So the next hump that Odemian has to get over is finding the win with the Jade Druid. It does pretty well against RDU's Raza Priest, but sometimes, you just struggle in that matchup anyways. Can't always just armor up and get out of range.
Yeah, I want to pull up the deck list here for Odemian's Druid desk because it's the first time that we've seen him on stream. Seems pretty run-of-the-mill standard. He's got, the Arcane Tyrants and Branching Paths from the new expansion. He's got a Spellbreaker, which might be useful. But other than that, pretty straightforward. Nothing too out of the ordinary.
Oh, wow. I didn't even realize that he banned RDU's Rogue this series.
Oh, wow.
I think this is the very first Q-Block game we get to see besides Reynad playing the Darkness. I don't know if, that's still Q-Block, but it's a much greedier list. And that did, get the win.
The MVP of that deck is certainly not the Carnivorous Cube.
Yeah. Honestly, it was just a sweet strategy because people left up Reynad's Warlock for it to just get the win anyway.
Yeah. I do like these cube builds that have the Mountain Giants and the Twilight Drakes, though. I think it has a lot more bite to it than just a pure combo. I'm really glad that those are the list catching on.
Yeah,
although
sure.
I also don't hate the N'Zoth build either.
A lot of times, if you have the N'Zoth, there just gets to points where you can't die. But when you play the Mountain Giants in this matchup, you could actually kill your Priest opponent. So he's definitely gets very rewarded for having the Mountain Giants in his list.
Now, I know this has been played extensively on some players' streams, and if Fino was hosting a little show match, I think it was Crane versus... I'm going to mess up his name. It's like Akumaru or Akumaru. It's Joen from...
Yeah.
He changed his name. So, yeah. Okay, anyways.
I think it's Akumaker?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's what it was. Jeez, I don't know why I kept messing it up. They played like a best of 9, and, they were very convinced that Q-Block could go toe-to-toe with Highlander Priest, but Highlander Priest convincingly took it. And a lot of people were just like, yeah, I don't even know why anyone even thought Q-Block had an advantage. So is Odemian just like, with Raza and Andrew, is that just like a done deal? You don't think the Warlock can contest it?
I think with the Mountain Giants, it's a lot closer to 50-50 because a lot of times if you didn't have the Mountain Giants and he has these 2 cards, you have no chance. But instead, they have the Mountain Giants. A lot of people have the Faceless too. You don't always have that death, which we see he doesn't have. And sometimes you're able to just connect enough damage. Even just equipping the weapon, pulling out the Doom Guard, that's a lot of face damage.
Right.
You push in 15 with the cube plus the Dark Pack, so
right.
It's definitely a real thing to just kill your opponent in this matchup.
Yeah, that's actually that's technically a 2-turn lethal.
Yeah, if he doesn't kill the Mountain Giant,
it's 16 with the Giant plus
this
a 15.
could just be over next turn.
Yeah. I think RDU knows that.
Yeah, I think you gotta equip the weapon here. When you could have potential 2-turn lethal after Mountain Giant, I think you gotta go for it.
Wow, look at RDU's face.
He is stressed. I know that he was a little bit unhappy with himself after his match against Reynad. He felt like he ordered some things wrong. There was a play that he didn't Elven Minstrel first, and then his quarter creeper didn't get reduced.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you know, I was a couple things that I wish I did better, but hopefully he was able to shake those off, take a breather, and come to this one. But he's deciding to just make 2 8/8s, which this survives Dragonfire Potion, so it still pushes a lot of damage. The only thing I don't like about this is that the Skull was a guarantee for the Doomguard because you don't draw first, and 15 damage is a lot. And not only is it a lot, but since you're killing the Doom guards and then they're coming out again, that guarantees at least one Doom guard's going to be dead for this Blood Reaver Gul'dan.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. But Odemian can't deal with any of the Mountain Giants. He had no Shadow Word Death. He can play Garrison and cycle a couple of turns.
It's just a pass.
Wow.
Oh, man. If Psychic Stream didn't exist, he'd be in trouble.
Yeah, but I mean, RDU is kind of okay with just passing this turn essentially as well.
What do you ask of me?
Honestly, shuffling 2 Mountain Giants ain't that great. It's just taking the
it buys
pressure
you
off the
time.
board. Yeah. But man, Shadow Reaper Anduin.
And honestly, if RDU did go for the line that we were talking about, he would have won the game.
Right.
We see that Odemian's hand does not have the answer for that Mountain Giant, but instead, this Anduin's going to come down, and I think RDU's going to have a lot of trouble trying to close this game. You know, he can go for Possessed Lackey, Dark Pack, pull out a potential Void Lord that could survive the Anduin, could potentially just pull out another Doom Guard, but
Wow.
Giant gonna get a little punished if he plays it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard not to decide to play the Giant.
Oh, I would have been so tempted to play
Oh,
it. But going into Shadow Reaper Anduin turn, you know that that's too much of a threat. And, you know, Odemian also has the Silence to follow up the Cabal, or the Possessed Lackey, rather.
Yeah, and I think you just do it here. You don't want it to get Dark Packed or anything like that, so Silence just going to clear out the board, and now we're in the situation where Odemian is definitely in the driver's seat.
How big of a role is Blood River Gul'dan, you think?
Well, he only has one Doomguard dead, and that was part of the reason why I liked saving the Dark Pack and the Cube for the Doomguards to potentially get more in the graveyard. Fortunately, even if he did go for that line, they would have got Psychic Screamed. But this Giant still goes unanswered, but pinging it down is a good enough answer at this point. Especially that you have so much card draw with this Auctioneer now that I don't even think he needs to start pushing for lethal. I think he could just deal with RDU's threat if he needs to.
So many possibilities.
Yeah, RDU seems to have a pretty good line to be able to set up demons for the Blood River Gul'dan.
I think the other one was off Shadow Visions. He made a face. But that second Silence definitely might get some use here. Not this turn, but I think you ping the Giant first, but you'll have enough pings no matter what. Is he just thinking he could leave this up and no matter what and just start pushing for lethal?
I think with the Binding Heal, he feels safe from Burst.
Yeah. Oh, he's still trying to kill the Giant.
Jeez, Radiant Elemental comes into the mix now, so he can basically play his entire hand.
And draw a lot of cards.
This is the power of the Auctioneer that a lot of people started checking in, dating back to earlier this year when Raza the Priest was first kicking a lot of butt from Knights of the Frozen Throne.
Yeah, a lot of people started to cut Lyra to play Auctioneer instead just because they realized if I'm drawing my 2 cards that I'm going to get there, I don't need to generate all these things.
There is a method to my madness.
Well, RDU is going to be looking for some real help.
Yeah, Void Lord's an insane card, but it doesn't stop you from getting smacked in the face by Anduin.
Yeah, he's got Possessed Lackey and a Hellfire to pull more minions, clear the board, set up for a Blood River Gul'dan. I guess he's worried if he's going to die next turn.
I think he's at the point where he might just have to start taking risks. You could also even just, if you're that worried about dying, you could possess Lackey and even just Spellstone it, because it is it a guaranteed Doomguard here or no?
Only
I think
one
there's
Void Lord was
still
pulled,
a
I
Void
think.
Lord left
Yeah.
in the deck, yeah. But you're definitely hoping for Doomguard to push some more damage and try and res 2 of them for lethal. But he's just not close enough. The more time you give Priest, like they never run out of stuff.
Yeah.
If they draw more of their deck, then they're going to find Velen, Mind Blast, and they will kill you. So,
Okay. So he wants to use a Spellstone, split the difference, remove all the minions, and stay at 24. 24, unfortunately, is a very popular breakpoint. RDU even using Dark Pack because he's aware that 24 is a very popular burst number to hit, and boy, was Odemian close to that.
yeah, and I think Odemian just, could save the Mind Blast for Velen. No rush here. He could draw a card off Acolyte even if he wanted to.
Let's see. So he's got 5 from the Mind Blast, 9 for before and after, another 2 from Spirit Lash, 3 from Blood Mage, so 9, 12, 14, 16.
I sort of would have liked to maybe even see the Talon Priest on the Acolyte there just to draw even more cards. I don't think he was ever going to overdraw.
Yeah.
But, I mean, a quick way to do the math is you just take all your cards times 2, plus 2 for the initial ping, and then, you have to add Mind Blast damage. If you have the Velen, you just do the cards times 4. But even with Gul'dan, it's not really realistic to get out of range of the 30-something possible damage that
Right.
Anduin can do in a turn. Because we even saw early RDU did like 60 damage to a Jade Druid or something ridiculous like that.
Right.
So, still, Odemian not under a lot of pressure, but doesn't have any card draw in his hand. Part of the reason why I liked going for the Talon Priest on the Acolyte and pinging it a couple times. But still, he has time. But he actually doesn't have that many 1-mana spells left. He used a lot of it to go off with the Auctioneer, and using Silence, that's another possible Velen card that maybe it's no longer possible for him to do 30. You could still do a lot.
Yeah, he's also spending a lot of his damage to clear a decent amount of the board.
Which I'm surprised by, because after the Gul'dan split, and you're not worried about too much burst.
Right.
The most they could do from hand is like 15, pulling out a Doomguard into a cube and Dark Pact. But I'm pretty sure RDU has just played both Dark Pacts already. I could be wrong about that one.
I think he has as well. He Dark Pacted the first cube, and then he Dark Pacted his
Void Lord. Yep, you're right. So then the potential damage is not high at all. So I think I would like to see more of those pings just go towards the face.
RDU could draw by attacking the Alkanite Soul Priest and then coiling his own Void Lord to see if he could dig a little bit deeper. I'm not sure if a 3-1 is significant pressure versus anything else. But at the same time, what are you even looking for at this point?
Yeah, I don't know.
For
It's
RDU?
rough, but I do agree with you that drawing into something might be worthwhile.
I mean, he
He
doesn't
could
have
also
the Mountain
just
Giant, right?
possess Lackey and hero power his own Lackey to pull out a demon if he doesn't want to use the Hellfire. Because I think he should still have the other Void Lord left in the deck. But he's going for the card draw here. Still leaves the chance to kill your own possessed Lackey if you wanted to, but he's just going to clear off the minion.
Oh, RDU has N'Zoth in the deck. That could be useful. At least, mount up so much pressure that if Priest can't kill you, then you might be able to threaten to kill them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, not quite sure how much cards Odemian has left. Sometimes you go for the Kazakus Potion for 1 to go off with the Velen turn to help you get that 30 damage. But if he has enough cards left in his deck, he could just go for a 5 and try and draw to the Velen here because his opponent just isn't at 30.
Yeah, just with Prophet Valen and Mind Blast is usually like, what, 24, right?
Yeah.
So that should be enough.
And he
Chooses
is
the one-man
going.
potion anyways.
Yeah. Just wants that more guaranteed damage with Velen.
I mean, honestly, he might even get there without Prophet Valen at this point.
That's true.
Coil, sure.
Now he's focused on the face, not using any pings on that possessed lackey.
Yeah.
Just, he knows RDU can only heal 3 per turn, and he's in a pretty good spot to close out this game. And I can't help but think, RDU had a chance to just lethal his opponent.
Yeah, this would have been a different series entirely if he was able to kill Odemian by turn 6.
We could have just looked at each other after turn 6 and been like, well, that was a game.
Yeah, and been like, oh, there you go.
Definitely shows that your decisions do matter in Hearthstone. And could have been game deciding this one.
Well, I think specifically in
Q
block,
block. Yeah.
it definitely has a lot of room for error. Oh, there's another Void Lord, by the way.
I mean, you always see that, like, since it's a slow Warlock, you're tapping so much, you have more cards in your hand. And when you have more cards in your hand, it's just more decisions to be made, rather than I am going to play my 1/3 drop on 3 with some aggro decks.
RDU said that this was his favorite deck, too, since the expansion. Oh, there we go.
And that's a quick 2-0 for him. Yeah, I think a lot of players said that their favorite deck is Q-Block because if you date back, every pro player used to think, I'm the best handlock player in the game. And now we're sort of getting this slow Warlock back.
Yeah.
And people are trying to be the best at it yet again.
Exactly. Everyone thinks that they were the best at the handlock mirrors specifically, too.
That's true. And if you ask all of them, I've never lost a handlock mirror.
That's right. Apparently all of them are still waiting for their first loss.
Yeah.
RDU is down 0-2. He's going to need with 3 in a row in order to go to the grand finals. Odemian looking for a big breakthrough representing Arma and the French community. Looking to maybe put yet another underrepresented scene on his back. I mean, how interesting would it be if, we have the best, English-speaking talent pretty much that Hearthstone has to offer. There's obviously a lot more names that we would love to fit, but if you look at the best from Europe and the best from America, you can't really be too upset with 60 players. But you look at like the French scene and Chinese scene, 2 very populous regions, right? China has a ton of players, and French community are so passionate about their scene, and yet no one really talks about them when you're talking about the best players in the world.
Yeah, it's true.
They might be the ones in the
It
finals.
reminds you, like, hey, we exist and we're just really good, by the way.
Yeah, or at least we shouldn't be slept on.
Yeah, and RDU's queuing up the Priest first, which is going to be the hardest matchup for him. I think his other 2 decks do way better against Druid, so he decides to queue up the one that, is going to be a little shaky first. Order doesn't really matter at this point, but man, is this a good hand coming out from Odemian.
Oh, he's going to curve almost perfectly into Ultimate Infestation.
This is the hand you want to have.
Oh
if you get an early Malfurion, a lot of times you could just get out of range with armor, and having the Ultimate Infestation just means you're not going to run out of pressure either.
RDU kind of whimsically nodding. I think he realizes this might not be his series. Gets stopped in the semifinals.
And, man,
yeah,
you could even play that Buyer Keeper next turn to get the Ultimate Infestation out a turn early. Oh, man.
I like it.
You could even see it on RDU's face. That is not the card he wanted to see coming down on 7 there.
Yeah, Malfurion starts the armor count really early so that you can't even really burst them if you drew the Raza exactly on 5 and Anduin on 8. This one might be a quick one.
Yeah, a lot of times you want that mix of pressure and armor gain as the Druid, because if you don't have enough early game, sometimes Priest pushes a lot of early damage. But if you have the early game pressure, a lot of times you could just use Branching Pass and these armor ups every turn to just get out of range. Because Priest only has a finite amount of damage, especially if they do not find the Raza and Anduin on curve, because then every card they play just means their entire deck has less damage overall.
And how scary is it to see a Mire Keeper on 8?
He knows it's coming.
Oh no, he's covering his face. Oh, poor RDU.
We really have seen very solid play from Odemian come out. We saw him earlier on stream, and that was one of his losses. But he was able to bounce from that and beat Muzzy to make it to here.
I mean, it could just be a sign that maybe there really is a way to target Priest. I mean, he's beating the Priest again, like, very reliably.
Yeah. A lot of the people that he played against actually had the Spiteful Summoner Priest in the tournament, too.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, Kuhn, sure. Why not?
Well, it is a turn curving into Shadow Reaper Anduin, so I guess that could be the argument against it.
Yeah. Also, your board might be big enough that it warrants a Psychic Scream anyway, too.
Right.
So I think he makes the right decision to just hold back here, even though it looks very tempting.
Oh, jeez.
A lot of times, too, these small boards with branching paths, it's basically a Savage Roar. You could get a lot of surprise lethals that
Yeah.
their opponents just aren't expecting.
Oh, man, that's crazy. So you have 11 on the board plus 8. It's 19. Granted that a couple of these minions might die.
Yeah.
That's a good pickup here from RDU. Spirit Lash with the Thanos should heal him pretty much back to full.
Honestly, you could even save Kuhn for just gain armor if you ever need to as well. That's like a function that you only see in this matchup because you're almost always playing him for the free 7/7, but sometimes if you don't need him for tempo, you save him for that purpose.
Wow, this is a really nice crafty play here by RDU. Saving the Mire Keeper, keeping a little bit of pressure on.
But he's going for the free 7/7 here. I would like to see him just armor up every turn because he should get there with pressure, but as long as you armor up every turn, I'm pretty sure your opponent's just going to run out of damage.
Right. 0% chance to win at that point.
Yeah.
It's like the magic number. There was the Freeze Mage magic number when Control Warrior used to play, and I forgot how much it was off the top of my head, but it was in the 60s or 70s. Like once you hit that point, the deck actually just runs out of damage straight up.
Yeah.
You can't win anymore unless Alex tries to hit the face repeatedly.
That makes sense. You know, a lot of times you could just get out of range.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder to say what can Priest actually be able to do with the Radiant
sure,
Elemental.
it's in the hundreds.
Yeah.
But might as well get started early, right? I guess it's technically infinite if you get like Lyra and Radiant Elemental and some weird shenanigans.
Yeah. But Odemian
Wow.
just going for full-on pressure, and I can't blame him. It ends the game faster, and, you know,
Yeah.
I think playing that Jade Behemoth is a little bit too much just because, look at this board. Like, it's just going to die to Psychic Scream, or, you know, if he has the AoE, I just think that's a little bit of overcommit, but at the same time, your opponent's getting so low.
Are you looking for something? I don't know what he even is looking for, though, at this point. Okay. That's it.
That is definitely it. And Odemian with the sweep to meet Bill in the final.
Grand finals of the Esports Superstars will not be someone in the English-speaking